I've covered many Meze audio products on this channel, from high-end audio gear to mid-tier audio gear, but I'm really excited to show you this budget-friendly audio product from Meze today. That being the Meze Alba IEMs. And as far as in your box, you're gonna get this nice hard case here, felt lined inside, little pocket in there, just nice travel case. You get some replaceable ear tips, and the cool thing about these ear tips, if the camera can pick it up, it's really hard to see even for myself. I highly doubt the camera can pick it up, but on each ear tip, it actually lets you know the size. So you got large over here, extra large, you got your smalls, and then your mediums, which I have on there. But again, really nice that it lets you know the size on the ear tip. Now it's also going to come with this USB-C adapter here, which actually has a built-in DAC. We'll talk more about that in the sound. Of course, your IEMs and then your 3.5 cable. Now they do have an optional accessory, which you can get the balanced cable, which we'll talk more about that in the sound as well. Now I want to kick it off with the comfort of these IEMs because they were surprisingly very stinking cozy. And IEMs for me are kind of hit or miss quite a bit. So I want to kick it off by showing you the weight here, as these do have a nice aluminum build all the way around them, but then all the parts are as well. I'll talk about the build here in a second, but putting them on there with the cable kind of dangling, how they'll be, resting on you, they're coming in right at 17 grams. Again, this is with the medium ear tips on. Now, if we put the entire cable on there, we're going to come up to 29 grams. But again, I think with them just dangling off your neck, you just have a little bit of cable sitting there. Again, sitting at 17 grams. So again, incredibly lightweight for the fantastic build, which I'll show you. Now, talking about the dimensions of them, let's pull out the caliper here, and hopefully you guys can see this. As far as from cable to top right there, kind of hanging down, getting 28 as you see. And then the width over here from front to back, 19 and some change. And then the depth of just back here by the lobe part, you can see we are getting right around 10. And then we're going to go from all the way out again with the medium tips on to the outside, coming in roughly around 23. So again, they're not incredibly big or bulky like we see in a lot of IEMs. And that was definitely one of my favorite things about the Albas from Meze here, is whenever you put them in your ears, again, with that lightweight, as far as the cable and then the IEMs themselves, they sit in my ears at least. Again, comfort subjective, person to person, but they sit in there so good. They definitely block out the sound because they just fill out, again, the lobes there and just fit in there so nicely. You really don't feel them. They're not jamming into your ears. They don't feel like they're going to fall out whatsoever. They're just in there perfect. Again, this is for my ears with medium ear tips. This may be different for person to person. One thing I did notice as far as comfort is the ear little ring or whatever called the loop over here is a little bit loose. So sometimes you'll catch yourself kind of having to tuck it back there, or if you adjust like glasses or something, it will adjust and you'll find yourself having to tuck it back there a little bit. I was thinking while I was testing these, something that would be really cool. I don't know if they make them, but like a rubber memory foam little sleeve that can go over the loop here. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking of. I think that'd be great for any IEMs, but definitely here with this being incredibly loose, finding myself having to adjust it, something like that would have been really nice touch. But no joke, the comfort of the Albas are one of the most cozy IEMs I have ever put in my ears. Now, as far as the build of the Albas, they are using zinc alloy and anodized aluminum, and again, the build is superb on these. Hopefully the camera can pick it up right there, getting some of this focus with how small they are, but going all the way in, and you kind of feel whenever you put them in your ear, you feel that kind of cool touch with it being metal out there whenever you put it in. And it never really got hot or blocked anything off. But again, really nice. The premium build on these. That goes all the way down to all the connections within the cable down here to your input 3.5, right at that midpoint. I don't know if I mentioned this within the comfort, but you have this little cinch cable in the middle as well in case you don't want that cable dangling around. Also on the USB-C, you have, again, the metal connectors on both ends. And the build, it just feels incredibly premium for, again, a budget-friendly product. Now, one thing that's kind of iffy about the build here is the cable. It's incredibly lightweight, but that also plays into the comfort that I just talked about. Like, you don't really notice them on your ears from the top or the cable dangling around. but it's incredibly lightweight, incredibly flimsy. I don't know if it'd end up pinching in something or just tangling it up, but again, the cable does feel incredibly lightweight, so that can be a pro or a con, whichever way you look at it. But I really like the premium build of this entire package here because, again, you're looking at like a budget high-end audio company's product here where a lot of people can dive into it. And talking about it, you know, you're dropping these, you're taking them on travel and stuff, they're gonna hold up. You're not really gonna have to worry about them because, again, they're just built so good. The only thing you might want to be careful with, again, is just that lightweight cable. Now let's go and talk about the sound of the Alba IEMs, and I'm going to slap the specs up on the screen real quick here so you can look those over and mention what Meze is stating. These are a neutral sound profile with an added touch of warmth for a complete and immersive listening experience. So you all know with all of my audio products, my primary test is always gaming. Right now I'm playing XDefiant and I'm playing Destiny. Those are my primary games, and then Donkey Kong First Mario or whatever it's called on the Switch. Holy smokes, am I addicted to that game. It is so good. But anyways, those are my core games there. And I want to focus on what Meze is saying, a natural experience with that warmth right there. And let me cut to the chase. You are not going to get punchy bass with these IEMs. They are really prominent in the highs. I don't want to say they're screechy, but I did catch times where I was kind of like, whoa, those highs kind of caught me, and they'll almost catch you, like get that little blink, you know what I mean? So again, don't expect punchy, full immersive bass as Meze stating, that immersive experience. I would say you have some bass in the background there, but your highs are always prominent. And that goes with any of this situation. Say if you went over to the balanced cable here, it just elevated that a little bit, made your highs a bit sharper. It did pull out that bass and those mids a little bit more, but just kind of elevated everything. Now, when I went over here to the USB-C adapter, the little DAC, I felt like, again, it brought out those highs a little bit more and the bass kind of stayed back there. So across all of them, you still got that same experience where the bass is in the back and your highs are definitely prominent. And going into gaming, Destiny, I'm playing the heck out of the Final Shape right now. So that's my core experience. But playing Destiny, you got a lot going on. Your weapons, your dialogue, it's getting a little hectic and chaotic sometimes. And when that happened is when I caught it like, oh man, I wish I had a little bit more separation from those low ends to the highs, because the highs were always there. But I felt like, again, the mids took over the bass, and that separation of the mids and the bass kind of jumbled together. They didn't get muddy, but again, they were kind of competing against each other, even though your highs were still performing up here. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's where it kind of disappointed me a little bit. I'm like, all right, man, I wish I had, number one, a little more punch and immersion back there, but a little bit more of that separation between, again, those low ends and those high ends. And the same thing happened whenever I was over there playing XDefiant, which, and me personally, I want more highs when I'm playing FPS games. Again, the reloads you can hear, the footsteps, and I did get that with this. But again, if you had more enemies around you and a whole lot going on, same thing happened like in Destiny, where it kind of became jumbled and you really couldn't decipher one from the other. And I know this is really not a fair test here or something many use a comparative, but my time using it on the Switch, playing my Mario versus Donkey Kong or whatever, holy smokes, it was perfect. It really was. There's not much going on. You got the music, you got that little bit of dialogue, and again, the sounds, and it was phenomenal. And that's where I caught myself really having my best time, is playing a Switch, even though you don't need anything really, high end to play the Switch. But again, I had a good time playing over there. Now, I want to talk about music with these. My primary listening, Cage the Elephant, White Stripes, Jack White, NF. I listen to a lot of NF, but a little mix of hip hop, alternative, stuff like that. And when I was listening to alternative, say White Stripes, Jack White, it was really good. Even though those highs are prominent, we all know Jack White, he loves a good guitar solo and his voice is a little more high-pitched, and it did bring that out. And that's the experience I want when I listen to that. That's what I like with that. I don't like the bass or anything heavy in there, so I had a good time with that. But coming over here to NF, which I listen to a whole lot lately, the bass, again, was just in the background. I felt like I had more mids than bass. I wanted a little bit more punch. I wanted more of that immersion, right? So I wanted, what you're catching through this sound here is obviously the highs are prominent. They're up there. They're not screechy and piercing by any means, but you did catch a couple times where you're like, yeet, okay, let me just tone that down a bit. But I wish my bass and mids were kicked up a little bit here. That's what I really wanted out of these, to get that bit of immersion. So what I would class these as far as sound, is casual gaming. If you're just playing, again, a casual game, Switch, something like that, not a deep immersive story game, not competitive FPS, just casual gaming. And then again, I would say classical or alternative type of music where you don't want a lot of bass and a lot of kicking. That's where these really perform. So now for one of the best parts about the Meze Albas is the price tag on these. Only coming in at $160. And let me tell you what, again, talking about the build of these, they feel like a $300+ IEM. They feel incredibly premium in the hand and in the ears, incredibly stinking cozy, and they feel solid. Now, as you caught on, the sound profile is not my preferred preference, especially for gaming, which the majority of my audio-related reviews are based around. Even though music is number one to me, and that's what I do the most, to listen to music, I do my audio based around games as a casual user, not a audiophile or anything. So I hope you were able to relate to what I was talking about. But again, I wish they had a little bit more bass and a little bit more of that immersion, so I can use them more for the games I'm playing, being a story-based immersive type of game there. But where I would class this, being in that budget-friendly price tag, premium build, incredibly cozy, these should stay in a travel bag. Use them when you're on the go. Just toss them in your bag. You got that premium built. You don't really got to worry about them too much. Just that cable. And again, the listening experience is nothing overdone. It's just, again, going to give you what you need, unless you really appreciate those highs being prominent there. And that's where it'll stay for me. Again, maybe in my Switch case for whenever I'm on the go. I like what it's offering at $160, but I personally hope they come out with a different version that has a little bit more bass to kind of punch up that immersion a bit. But all in all, really cool to see something this premium come in at a budget-friendly price tag. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and thank you so much for stopping by to watch this video. If it was able to help you out in any sort of way, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye now.